You are now tuned in to Hot Topics with Donna. And on this show, we do one thing: keep it real hot. That's honest, open, and transparent. If you didn't know, now you know. So sit back and unwind as we bring the vibe and a little bit of glorious sunshine to your heart, soul, and mind. Your lovely host, Hot Donna, will be with you in just a few moments. But while you wait, go ahead and set an atmosphere of peace in your space. If you can, cut the lights down low, get your hydration on, vibration zone. Cause tonight, you're about to receive some delicious food for your soul. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's about to get hot. You are indeed in the one and only place to be this evening. We appreciate you for joining us, and in just a few moments, we about to turn the heat all the way up. That's right. It's about to go down right now on Hot Topics with Donna. Show your virtual love by smashing that thumbs up and heart icon as many times as you can. And without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your host, the one and only Hot Donna.
Hello. Hey, Mr. Anthony, how are you? We got to get together because I tend to start shape back up, so we're gonna get together soon. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. On Hot Topics with Donna, we do it honest, open, and transparent. That's what HOT stands for. Listen, I hope you guys have been enjoying the weather, staying safe. You still can inbox me on how to get my book. You can buy it on Amazon, but if you order from me, it will be an autographed copy. So if you would like one, all you have to do is just inbox us on the D Taylor Network page, and we will get this out to you. And the word that I chose today for my guest, for you, for me, is freedom. And I'm going to read what it says. It says, "We have freedom now because Christ made us free." So it says, "So stand strong." And that comes from Galatians 5:1. And I keep telling you guys I'm going to do a series on self-love and why it's important for us to have self-love. But it's important for us also to have freedom, because we have allowed the world to keep us in bondage. Some of us still trying to figure out how we're going to get out of bondage. And I'm going to tell you what. When you become free, you really become free. It feels so good. So I'm going to try to bring my guests on, and then we're just going to get started and have some great dialogue. So hold on for a minute, please. Let me see here. Dr. Muhammad, if you're on, can you send me a friend request, and then we'll get started. Mr. Anthony, how are you doing? I'm going to give my guests a few minutes to join my live, and then we will get started. I hope you guys have enjoyed this beautiful day. So let me see. Dr. Muhammad, if you're on, can you send me a request to join my live, please? Okay, I'm going to wait a few minutes to give her a chance to request to join my live. and then we will get started. But okay. Okay, so while we're waiting for her to come on. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, sis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you for you turned upside down.
Oh, wow, turn myself upside. All right, we'll leave it alone like this.
Go back some more. Go back some more.
All right. All
There
right.
you
That's
go.
right. Okay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Hot Topics with Donna. Thank you for accepting our request to be on our show. And so every time I do a show, I always give a word. And it always come along with a scripture. And so the word that I have for you today, and for me and our viewers, is freedom. And so, and it came from Galatians 5:1. And it says, we have freedom now because Christ made us free. Go and stand strong. And so my question to you is, how do you, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Um, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna try to bring her back on and see if she can come back on.
Okay. I don't know what happened. All right.
Okay, that's okay. So the word that I chose for you today was freedom. And it was just basically saying how God has made us free. How do you manage to just stay free from all of, society, life in general? How do you yourself just say, I need to be free, free from bondage, free from whatever's trying to entrap me?
Oh, I disconnect from the matrix. So what I do is I plug into the universe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm guided by scripture. I'm guided by energy. I'm guided by just tuning into the God frequency. That's what I'm guided by.
Amen. And so does that refer to anybody, family, friends, associates that try to hinder you, if you will, from being just free in who you are?
No, I don't, because I don't, my standard isn't set by others.
Yes.
And so I have no desire to, I don't participate in groupthink.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what other people think, I'm not even trying to be in alignment with it. I mean, I'm plugged into the universe, so I don't really hear
Right,
what the
right.
people are saying, because I'm not even on the same frequency as them. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, and so tell people who you are and where you reside, and we're just going to get started and just have some great conversation.
okay. My name is Dr. H.J. Muhammad. I reside in Chicago, Illinois. I am an author. I am a consultant. I am a counselor. I am a speaker, advisor, a warrior.
Amen. Amen. And so I want to talk about, I think I'm going to talk about your away with our old thinking patterns. I think I want to start with that first. So I saw some of the videos that I went through, and I really love the one when you were talking about the death of the 666, and I was like, wow. And I started laughing because I had to rewind it again, because in my mind, I was like, 666. And so how do you come up with these topics about old way of thinking?
Well,
And especially this one.
like I say, I'm plugged on the frequency. I'm on the God frequency. So
Right.
when my mind is clear, or when I'm meditating,
Mm-hmm.
and when I meditate, I I don't sit in the corner and go, I don't do that. My meditation could be on my way home from work. I could be watching television and just something to come to me. And then I stay on that frequency. So away with old thinking patterns just came from me working with crystal work, working with Mukai crystal, which is jasper. So that whole energy of Mukai crystal is basically addressing generational curses. Okay. So the way with old thinking patterns was inspiration to challenge old thinking patterns that was passed down to us that are incorrect.
And with that, how do we as individuals, or could you explain to help our viewers, how can we start to change those old way of thinking? Because like you said, we learn these patterns, down from grandmother to mom to, on through our family. But how do we start to change our way of thinking?
For one, what you have to do is we like to stay in our comfort zone. You can't do that. I have mentors. So they will challenge my thinking because our parents' primary responsibility is to clothe us, feed us, and protect us. So sometimes they don't have the opportunity to teach us everything that they know. So there's sometimes a gap, but that's where mentors fill in the gap. Absolutely. So I've had mentors challenge me based on what they know I was taught and just didn't absorb, or just challenge me based on what I've never heard. But just being around people who are wise and have them challenge or accept the challenge of them saying, why do you think like that? I remember having a conversation with a mentor, and she asked me, what's your ideal man? And I was like, chocolate. And she told me, she said, what? I said, oh, he got to be chocolate, girl. That's my ideal man. Right. And she said, oh, Lord. She said, you're going to have about 5 or 6 ex-husbands. And so I didn't see anything wrong with it. And she said, so if God sends you someone that doesn't fit the physical specimen that you're looking for, you're going to miss out on his blessing. And I never really looked at it like that. I only based my attraction off what was attracted to me. Absolutely. And so that thinking pattern was, oh, they like me, so I like them. But not really applying the screening process, the science process of weeding out what's not for me and accepting or absorbing what's for me. So having those people in your circle that are wiser than you can help you evolve and help you get rid of those old thinking patterns as they challenge you, and then they help you evaluate them together. And then you're able to say, that don't no longer serve me. That might have been something that I believed in based on my environment, my friends, or my family, but is it still correct right now, or is that thinking pattern expired? Right. And so and I was listening to you, and I was like, we do want the 666, we want them to have 6 figures, we want them to have a 6-pack, and then and we want them to be 6 feet tall. But like you said, what if that's not the ideal man that our Father have for us? So are we willing to just go with the 666 and say, I got him, and then down the road we start living a life of hell, if you will, because we were disobedient, because like you said, we have our own perception of what looks good to us. And I know I've done it in my past. You want somebody that looks good when you're on their arm. And so how do we, especially women, I can't speak for men, but especially women, how do we change our mindset? Because what looks good may not be good for us. So how do we do that if we don't have mentors? Well, I mean, the greatest mentor we can have is God himself. Absolutely. And so what we have to do is align our thinking with his thinking. If all we have to do is say, hey, go to the Lord in the manner that we go to him. Everybody's relationship is customized differently. So you go to your Lord and you say, I need you, I'm requesting that you help me decipher between what you send me, what's from you, and what's not from you. I actually did that. I actually was looking at 3 different guys at the same time because they were all interested in me. And I was like, okay, where do I go? I mean, which one do I like? Right. And so a mentor told me, why don't you ask God to remove the one from your heart that's not from him, and to increase the desire to be with the one that is his choice.
Wow.
And I didn't believe her, so I wanted to prove her wrong. I did it, and it worked. I literally, the man that I was not even acknowledging ended up being the man that I married and been married to for 27 years.
Wow.
So if I would not have aligned my thinking with that of the Lord's, I would have missed out and probably been like, my 34th ex-husband. And so, and also, what also helped was listening to our elders. There's a disconnect between generations. We're not connected appropriately. And so we have elders that have a wealth of knowledge and information who have done it wrong or have done it right, but able to share that with us. And so listening to those elders say, okay, just because someone's for you don't mean it's going to be a perfect relationship.
Absolutely.
And you still got to put the work in. And even after being with this person 30, 40 years don't mean you've arrived. You're still perfecting that relationship. It's a journey. And if people approach a relationship like this is a journey, do I want to go on a journey with this person? Then we'll make a better, appropriate decision. But the greatest mentor you can have is the God, and just go to him and say, Lord, guide me. I don't know. And watch. And when you do that, you just sent out instructions to the universe. And the Lord will say, okay, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to bring it into fruition. And what happens is he starts bringing you people with the answers. We'll pray to the God, and then we get mad because we think the answer hasn't come, but it has. It comes in a person you may not like. It comes in a person you may think that's too young, or you too young. You can't tell me nothing. Or you don't know me. So sometimes we have this mindset that we should be able to choose how the message come to us, and it may not come that way. It may come, you turn on your television, all of a sudden there go the message. But you got to be open to hear the message. So submission to the message is very important. We have to make the prayer, Lord, open up my heart so I can receive your message.
Absolutely. And I think, and I can speak for myself because, when I married my late husband, we were together, but then I realized there was a disconnect, and I had to go to him, go to the Father and say, I was disobedient. I was disobedient. And so he in turn had to teach me how to really love. He had to create a new love for us, and a lot of people didn't understand that. I said, because what we did it all wrong from the beginning, but he had to teach us how to love. And that was my prayer. Like, I want to know how to love him again.
Oh, that's powerful prayer, sister.
I want to know how to love him again because I want it out. We want it out. But because of our disobedience, that wasn't in the plan. So this journey, I had to go on this journey with him to death do us part.
You know, that's so powerful, because even if you have the person that's right for you, and I'm speaking to those who are in a relationship with someone that they really love, that they really care about, just because you both love each other, care for each other, does not mean that you truly understand what love is. Love is something that you learn and understand over time. In the beginning of the relationship, it's infatuation. It's not love. Love is duty. And so when you learn the duty to the person that you're in a relationship with, which is actually you being in obedience to your Lord, everything else in the relationship seems to fall in line, because God is that fulcrum, and that's that piece on the scale that balance out the scale. And if you don't make him the center, it don't matter if you're with the right person or the wrong person, it's not going to work. But once you understand that love is duty, that's when you'll start to develop love for that person.
And that's so true. And we did. And it was so amazing how it unfolded right before our eyes before he passed away. And I knew that journey was for me. Because I see so many, especially the young people, they want this fairy tale wedding, if you will. But what happens when that fairy tale wedding day is over. Now this is like the real deal. Everybody, is celebrating you. But what happens when you bump heads? Do
That's
you just
powerful.
quit? Do you just quit, or you're like, oh, well, I didn't sign up for this? Yeah, you signed up for it because you said I do, but because the lights are off now, it's no more lights, camera, action. Now it's like, this is the person that I said I do.
It's so interesting. When people have a business partnership, they have what is called a partnership agreement, right? So when you're in a marriage, it's a partnership.
Absolutely.
It's a real entity. It's like a business entity, and you have to run it as such. You have to take it seriously. You got to have conflict resolution plans. You got to have risk management plans. You got to have all those things within your relationship in order for them to be successful. It's just we tend to, like you said, our approach is always a fairy tale. Like the
Right.
song Anita Baker, Fairy Tales, she explains nobody, I was taught that we was going to ride off into the sunset. Nobody told me it was going to be difficult. But anything of
Right.
great value is going to be difficult. But
Absolutely.
what
Absolutely.
makes a relationship strong is the difficulty, because that's how you try to see if the love is real.
Mm, mm. And that's so important. And that's why, I was looking at all your a way of old thinking. And the one that really stood out the most is the one you was talking about, pro-life or pro-choice.
Mhm.
And when I heard it, I was like, everybody thinks about abortion, and which you touched on that a little bit.
Mhm.
But what really got me is how you said, when you do something that is against your will, as far as like eating healthy or whatever, is you pro-life or you pro-choice? And I was like, what? And so, and we don't look at life that way. When we hear people say pro-life, pro-choice, we automatically think, even myself, we're thinking about a woman's right to decide what she's going to do with her body. But are we pro-life when we're doing things that's not good for us versus what's right for us?
Yeah, pro-life or pro-choice don't stop upon conception. It doesn't stop when the child is in the womb. It doesn't stop when the child is born. It's like
Right,
people, oh, everybody is so pro-choice. She needs to have her baby. Everybody
right,
gets so
right.
animated, and that's wonderful. But how much support is she going to get from all of these people? When the
Mm-hmm.
baby is here, are you going to help create an environment that's conducive to the baby's learning? Are
Right,
you
right.
are you gonna matter of fact, are you even gonna protect the environment that woman is when she's pregnant? Because that
Mhm.
affects the child. So you
Absolutely.
got all these people who say pro-life, pro-choice, but then these are the same people that light a cigarette in front of your child. But you're the
Mm-hmm.
same person that says I don't have the right to choose if I want the child to be here. You saying I must make sure the child is here. But you're the same one that's gonna kill my child when it's here, because you're gonna
Right.
be the one that's pro. I think everybody should have a gun, and I'm very pro gun, but I have to be mindful of how I say it and how I express it. I believe you have
Absolutely.
a right to protect yourself, but that don't mean you have a right to abuse the use of a weapon.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
we don't really think about once the child is conceived, we don't care anymore. It's just
Right.
that we latch on to these belief systems that aligns with our own
Mm-hmm.
personal principles, and then
Mm-hmm.
we lash out at those who don't really agree with those.
And that goes back to what you said before. When we don't change our thought patterns, and when we don't sit under great teaching and have mentors, we're never going to say, let me look at life a different way. you know and that's like, I have a mentor organization for young girls, and
Mhm.
and it's called Shape, and it's not for just African American girls, it's for all girls, and my logo is of the world. And I always encourage them, you don't always have to have friends that look like you. It's okay to venture outside of your norm, because like you said, when we grow up in an environment that we may not see people like us, it's hard for us to say, well, I don't know if this Asian girl or this Hispanic girl, I don't know if, they would be a good fit for me. And I remember at a job I was at in the school system, my lead teacher, she was a white girl, and so me and her was kind of like feeling each other out, looking. And one day, and it wasn't that I didn't think we was going to be friends, because I was, born and raised like my grandmother. She accepted everyone, white, black. If you're hungry, she fed you. So
Right.
it was not, for me, it wasn't an issue. And so when her and I started talking, it was just amazing how we clicked. And one thing that she told me, she said, she lived in upstate New York, and she really never really encountered Black people. It was maybe a couple. And so she was comfortable enough to ask me those questions about Black people that she didn't know. And when we can set the tone for people of a different race, then we can learn how to get along. And I love how you said, when we all can get along, especially women, then we can do something. Then we can be powerful, because if I know you can pour into me, I should be receptive and say, let me allow her to pour into me. It doesn't mean that I'm beneath her or she's up here. It just means that she got what I need right now. She is pouring into me, and then somebody else gonna come pour into me. And when we keep pouring into our sisters of all races, then we can be powerful.
This is so true. So many women are in survival mode,
Yeah.
and there's it's women that I know watch me from afar, but they can gain more from
If
learning
they just
from me if they just tap into me. But if you watching me
Mhm.
from a distance, I don't know. But our
Mhm.
egos won't let us say, "Hey, I want to learn from you." I mean, I didn't get to be the person I am. I didn't get to have the wisdom that I have, being closed-minded to being an
Absolutely.
understudy to another woman. And that
Mhm.
was funny. I was just sending out a shout out to a sister who taught me chess, the principles, the learning, the foundation of chess. And I
Right.
had to give her a shout out. Like, it didn't matter that I have a doctorate degree in education.
Right.
I don't
Right.
I don't have a doctorate degree in chess in,
Mhm.
in,
Right.
in, in,
Right.
in strategic planning. So I was able to tap into my sister who had
Mhm.
that wisdom and absorb that knowledge and wisdom. And then it makes me more powerful because I've tapped into different outlets. Just like in one house, you don't have one outlet source, you have multiple outlets. So
Absolutely. And
you can tap into different outlet sources and get energy, and then unplug when you got the energy you need and go plug into another
exactly.
outlet.
Exactly.
It's not a
But do you,
competition.
but doctor, do you feel that a lot of women in your, I'm not going to say circle, if you will, but in your path in general, do you think because, they see you, you're educated, do you feel a lot of times they're intimidated because they feel they have to be up here with you or up here, instead of just saying, you know what, I am still growing. I am still learning how to walk, and I'm still getting my footing. But maybe, just maybe, if I can just tap into the doctor, just like, the woman with the issue of blood, she just wanted to just touch his hem. She didn't care how she got there. She did not care. And and I tell people, I when God gave me the analogy, it was like being at a concert.
Mhm.
Your favorite singer, whatever. You don't care how you get there. You don't care if you just standing in a little spot, but you're there. And that's how we should be with people in general. Only because you have a doctorate degree, or even if you have an associate degree, even if you have a high school diploma, if you just tap into women that's willing to pour into you, just think how much you can grow, how your mind can explode. You be like, wow, never thought I could do this. Just like you, chess. I never thought I can do this. But we shut our own self down because we feel like, well, I ain't got time for that, whatever. And then it's like, wow. And like you said, the same people that you turn your nose up may be the one that have what you need for your next elevation.
But everybody has something to teach you. They have something they can share with you. The,
Yeah,
one thing the Lord does not do is give all the power or all the creativity to one, or
absolutely.
all the wisdom to one person. It just doesn't serve him. He has a mission is at hand.
Right.
And so when the mission is hand, he has to delegate certain powers to certain people. And he ain't gonna delegate all of his power to one person. Now he got to equal. That is not how he operates.
Right.
So we don't really understand that. We think that we have a disconnect from him. And so if you can't submit to someone else, it's because you can't submit to him. That's the problem right there. I could tell if someone has a strong relationship with their Lord based on how they treat other people.
Yes,
so if
ma'am.
you have a problem engaging other people, then you have a problem engaging with your Lord. If you have men problems, then you have a problem with your Lord, because he's a man, you know. So you have a problem with him. If you cannot engage others, then you're not engaging him. He is the ultimate relationship. So your relationships are based on, or you interact with other people based on how you interact with him. So if you can't humble yourself to him, you can't humble yourself to anyone else.
Absolutely.
I don't have a problem. I'll go sit down with a 10-year-old. That 10-year-old can teach me something, because it's not where I'm getting don't come from people. We're a conduit for energy. Really what we're tapping into is God himself. We just got to figure out, okay, what part of himself or what energy of himself did he put in this person? I need to find out, and I need to tap into it.
Right.
And so we're disconnected from the universe. So we don't look at everything being connected. We look at everything as separate. And so that's the issue.
Right. And that falls right into, you talk a lot about leadership, and you have a leadership organization. And I love some of your posts when you said, only because you lead, you still must treat your people right.
Yes.
But we get it so twisted, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in the church, I don't care where it is, we get it twisted. Only because you're the leader does not give you the right to just trample over your people and expect for them to give you some work.
People, it's funny because that post was inspired by something at work. And so you have someone trying to feud with another leader, two leaders feuding, trying to prove a point. But at the end of the day, you're affecting employees because it's about your egos.
Right.
This side trying to prove that they have more power than this side. But in the end, you have destroyed the morality of all the people that you're in leadership over. So what is this about? Is this about you, or is it about you leaving? Because leadership is about service. So if you're a leader, you're supposed to be serving those that you lead.
Exactly. Hey, Nicole, and I love that. And so when you are leading and teaching, how do you empower people that you're leading and teaching to make them feel like you're not in judgment or you're not above them? Because, even though I know you don't do that, but how do you make your people believe that, hey, you're worthy?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example of an environment that I came in as a leader for the first time, and many of these people knew me, but not in the leadership role. So the night before, I came in and I left a letter on everyone's desk with a piece of chocolate. And so in the letter, I introduced myself as if they never knew me, and share a little bit about how long I've been with the company, what my background is, and just to say, hey, I'm hoping that our time together will be sweet like this piece of chocolate. And you'd be surprised the impact that made. It let people know, wow, this person thought enough of me to introduce themselves. Like, I'm new to the environment. My grandmother taught me, whenever you're new to the environment, you speak. They were already there. So you need to speak first. So I was new into the environment. So therefore I needed to introduce myself. I need to speak first. So I did that, and I let them know, I'm here to serve you. If there's anything that I can do to help you make your job better, let me know. Because coaching goes both ways. And when you empower people, they make you a better leader, and then you look good as a leader. But you have to empower your people, because the greatest leaders will tell you, I'm viewed as being great because I have great people around me.
Right. And if you're a great leader in whatever capacity that you're serving, whatever you're producing, it's going to be top notch, because everybody wants to make sure that we are top notch, because our leaders saying, hey, I can't do this by myself. I need my team. And so when we're leading, we can get it done. We can get it done. And you can't just have, oh, well, I'm just going to appoint Donna, Lisa, these are going to be my groupies, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can get the job done, and then everybody else pretty much take a back seat. But then that's when all the strife comes. Nobody wants to work. Like, I'm just going to come and give you the bare minimum. But when they are being led by a leader that has pride, that has dignity, has character, then that's when we can really do some stuff. We can produce what we got to get out.
That's true. I mean, a leader is supposed to be like a parent, you know, like a mother. A good mother they love their children differently. Like one may require more mother's time and one may not. Doesn't mean that mom don't love them equally. It just means that I know you need more guidance from me. I know you need me to let you grow, and I'm not going to cut off your wings because you're a different type of individual. You want to fly, and I'm gonna let you fly, but I'm gonna be here if you fall, if you stumble. And leadership is the same way. So you have to understand, if I put more time into this person, I still need to give this other individual what they need. But at the same time, they all need to know that I love and cherish them equally. So what I always do is I have to manage different within one department is people with different functions. And so I tell them all the time, we're one team, and we have no barriers, but we do have boundaries, and we respect those boundaries. There's no walls here because we all work together. We're all one team, but there's boundaries. We respect someone else's territory, and we come with peace. May I step in your territory? I have some questions or something that I need from you without me coming into your environment, destroying it, doing what I want to do. So it's imperative that you let each individual know that you're leading, that they all play an intricate role with the team, but you care for each one of them equally. But yet at the same time, you're going to custom your relationship. It's called situational leadership. You custom the relationship with each employee in a manner that they need it to be. So it's situational leadership. You adjust.
And so how do you handle when you do have a discord, when you do have a disconnect with the people that you're leading? Do you just, like some people in workplaces, they just be like, well, they'll figure it out? Or do you bring the people together and say, hey, listen, we got to come to a happy medium, because when we have two in disagreement, it affects everybody else. Even though
that's true,
it just may be you and I, but still you and I, we're toxic, and it's going to damage everyone else around us. So how do you handle situations like that?
I bring people together, but I'm very big on emotional intelligence. So acknowledging two people can be right at the same time, but also be wrong at the same time.
Absolutely.
I mean, I had a situation where two people were right, but the way they were handling it was wrong. And so just trying to show them, you're both right. I'm going to validate your feelings, because how you feel is how you feel. So we're not going to negate how you feel. Even and the principle that you stand on is correct.
Absolutely.
I just need to bring attention to how the end result is X, but how did you get to X? What's the formula? We need to talk about how you got there. So how you wanted to demonstrate that you were right and exact was wrong, and it created this issue. So I think focusing on the behaviors and not the person, because no one wants to feel like you're pointing a finger at me that I'm wrong. But hey, let's talk about behaviors that will help us work together more effectively.
Right.
Instead of,
and so
you're wrong, you shouldn't have done this. It's just a matter of like, now, but let's talk about what just happened here and how did it affect both everybody involved.
Absolutely.
And so it's important for you to do that so people don't feel attacked, but also it helps people analyze a situation like, man, you're right. I didn't mean for it. That wasn't my intention. So it's always good to share light on the intention and say your intention is wonderful. However, a great intention don't always guarantee great results or the right results. So just helping people analyze through problems and conflict, because a great leader has to be strong in conflict resolution. being able
What
to
if they don't?
point. Hmm.
What if they're not? Because, I've been on jobs where you know the mode, if you will, and then everyone else feed off the mode. But how do you handle as a leader that mode? Because we see it in workplaces where one person may have a stronghold on everything else, and then everything else start to get toxic. And so do the leader just pull that one person aside and say, listen, this is what I've noticed, or you just have a general overall leadership meeting?
I mean, it could be it could be both. I mean, what I like to do when I come into the environment, I like to observe first, and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
See who has the power within the group, who's the influencer, who's the nurturer. I like
Right.
to see that. But I
Right.
think whenever you have someone, I love to see the person that's rah rah rah. We not doing that, and everybody follows them because that's the leader. That's the one I'm gonna focus on. I'm gonna get buy-in from that person because that's the
Right.
person that's gonna get everybody else to get to buy
Right.
into it. So
Right.
that's usually the leader, and oftentimes that's the most vocal, the most passionate. So they're
Mhm.
communicating what everyone else is saying, and that's or feeling or thinking, and that's fine. But just putting it back on them. Okay, if you have a complaint, I need a solution because complaints ain't
Right.
gonna get us nowhere. I have no problem with you coming forth for what's not right,
Mhm.
but you better come with a solution.
Absolutely. And so I'm just going to ask you, how do you feel when, or have you ever been confronted, if you will, about your leadership style that, your employees may not have been happy with? And how do you handle that when the complaint is against you?
I mean, I've had people not it's funny. I had a conversation with an employee. Well, they wanted me to be this authoritarian type person. And I'm like, so authoritarian type leadership went out in the 60s or something. That's no longer
Right.
valid in a leadership environment. So
Right.
that's not going to work. But I explained to them, leadership is not about forcing someone to do something that they don't want to do.
Right.
Leadership is persuading someone to do something that they don't want to do, and now they want to do it. So,
Absolutely.
and it takes time to, we're talking about real human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so when new style of leadership comes in the room, it's going to be people who are going to be resistant because change brings resistance. And that's the first stage to change. And so I welcome that. Now it's, how do I start out when I lead people, when I'm in an environment? Tell me what your past leadership did that you like, and tell me what they did that you didn't like.
Mm.
And I'll keep doing what they liked if it makes sense, and then we'll work on
Right.
we'll incorporate something to address what you didn't like that they did. And
Absolutely.
oftentimes that right there goes a long way, because if this person was a good listener, then I know, okay, I need to make sure that I come in the door being a great listener.
Absolutely.
That I don't minimize that I really move that to one of my number one priorities. So I think I've never really had I've had people question, but not really say I don't like your style of leadership, because when I was in banking, I was called a fix-it manager. So, and whenever they had a staff that was horrible, they say, go fix it. And so I had a staff, try not to be long-winded, but I had a staff in banking and sales. So we had 13 branches, and this was like the flagship location, and they were in last place every week in sales. And they were like, they're horrible employees. And that really wasn't the case. When I went in there, I noticed that no one really listened to them. And there were people who were made promises that were never kept. And so, and then there were people who had years in that wasn't respected for the years and the experience that they had. There were people who wanted to learn more that wasn't given those opportunities. So once we addressed all of those issues, people were really happy. And because I said, we work together as a team. This is our environment. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's ours. And leadership goes both ways.
Yes,
it goes from the bottom up and from the top down. So
and people
as
just
I
want to know
lead you, you lead me.
They
You're right.
That's it. It's not about You know, some people are good at the level that they are. They just want to know that they matter. They, you know, and that's why I tell people all the time. We have to stop looking at how we fix our outer shell and look deeper, you know, because God looks at our heart. He don't care about this shell, because at the end of the day, I can make this look however I want to for me to feel good, or for me to make people think I have it together. But deep down, I'm hurting. I'm dying, but no one sees that because they're not looking past. They're not using their discernment. They're not saying, hey, something's different. What's going on? And when we can start looking beyond what we see in front of us and say, hey, how are you today? It doesn't mean you know this person. It just means if I'm in your common space, that's, to me, that's just common courtesy to say, good morning, how are you? But then you be on jobs and you speak to people and they're looking like, what does she want? I don't want anything. It's just common courtesy. It's me saying, I see you, not that I want anything, but I see you as a human being. And so that's what we should be doing. We should be acknowledging, because I'm in education. And when I was in preschool, we taught our preschoolers, when people come in our classroom, this is our house. So when people come in, you say good morning, good evening, or whatever, and they got it. Even if they're playing and engrossed in what they're doing, when they saw that door come open, and if you walked in, they would be like, good morning, and they go back to playing. But when do we have that same concept as an adult?
You know, it starts with the leader. It starts with the leader. You have to mimic behaviors that you want others to
Absolutely.
do. And so I like to have fun in the office, but I like to work. So I work, but I'll stop and I'll have a nice conversation with a staff member, and we will laugh and we'll joke, but we'll get back to work. Like, we can have fun and do the job at the same time.
Absolutely.
And people know when you're genuine and when you're fake. So if you're a leader and you're genuine, people can feel that, and they go, I like this person. And it's easy to build trust with a staff if you're genuine. If you're fake, it takes a much longer time to build trust.
Right, absolutely. And one thing I've learned over the years, because I want to know who I am, where I am, and I always ask God, give me the discernment, not judgment. Give me the discernment to say what I see. I don't want to say, oh, well, this is what Donna sees. I want the Holy Spirit to say, don't. And I was out sick, and I have my office space. You can tell when the shift is off. When you walk into your space that you've, been gone. You can tell when the shift, and so I walked in and I was like, woo. And so I was like, okay, I got it. So I had to get my space back, if you will, with that peace and that alignment. And people don't believe, when you have a discord in your spirit, it affects everything else around you. It trickles down. And that's why I always want to see people for who they are and not in judgment. Because when I can see them for who they are, then they'll say, I can trust her. She doesn't look at me in judgment. And that's the type of relationships that I have with my friends. If I mess up today, they're still going to check me, if you will. But they're going to say, okay, well, what are we going to do next? How are we going to change this? Or what can I do to help you not do this again or go down this path again, instead of saying, well, I told you, you shouldn't have done it.
Right.
We need people, genuine people, that can say, hey, you messed up. But I'm loving you. I'm still here, but we're going to move forward.
I just saw a meme, and it was talking about the Ubuntu tribe, and they were talking about how they deal with a behavior that's not acceptable. They put this person in a circle, and they give great compliments to this person over and over, everything that they like about this person. Just for that person to study a beat down, it's assurance that you're a great person. Don't let this one incident define who you are. And this is how they deal with conflict, and it minimizes conflict amongst tribe members, and I thought that was powerful. And and it's interesting because I do groups for individuals in custody, people who are men who are incarcerated in maximum facility, and it's a building session. It's never a beat down. You know, you murdered somebody, so you the scum of the earth. Let's talk about distorted thinking and how that contributes to how we're here in the here and now. And many of them are able to see, like, wow, I didn't even realize, you know, the thinking that I was carrying or that I was planting my life was going to have me here. And so
they had that old thinking pattern.
Yes, old thinking pattern.
And that's what I told my leader at school one day, a principal, because I mentor a lot of the high schoolers too, that they feel that we can make a good fit. And when the kids come in and they just have real talk, and I tell them straight up, I'm here to serve you. Whatever I can do, just let me know, not in judgment. And when they come in and they may say, I don't like this effing whatever teacher, I don't get all twisted out of shape. Because for me, they cuss, it's disrespectful. But you know what? I look beyond why they're cussing. I'm saying, what's the real problem? What's the real issue? Because if I just focus on, well, you know, you just swear it in front of me, I'm going to lose them.
That's true.
I'm going to lose them. So you know what? And they will say, you know, excuse me, from what I get ready to say, doesn't make it right? No. But you know what? That cuss word, I don't care about that. My main concern is, how can I serve you? What is really going on? Because there is an issue that's deeper than you just cussing and saying why you don't like this teacher. So, and when I meet them there, then I know they just start talking, because they know she's meeting me where I'm at, no judgment. And, you know, and when they come in and they're upset and they don't want to talk, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm here, you know, and I'll go about doing my stuff at my desk, and then I'll go back and be like, hey, you're good. And they still not talking, and I go back. But when I go back 3, 4, 5 times, their body has relaxed. And so now they're saying, I'm available. So when they make themselves available for me, I'm ready to be available for them. Because like you said, when they get in trouble and go to the big house, if you will, there was an underlying issue that people fail to look at, because, oh, you're just bad. Kids, you just doing this. What's causing them? What is causing them to act out this way? Even with us as adults, we can be in relationships, whatever. What is causing us to be so evil, so hateful, and treat people any kind of way? Because there's an underlying reason. It's not because you just woke up and say, oh, I'm going to treat the doctor mean today when she come into work. No.
That's true.
There is an underlying issue, and that's why we have to meet people where they're at, because people are hurting. So many people are hurting. And I had a 29-year-old on my podcast last week, and she talked about how she thought about taking her own life. Wow. You know, because she said her life was like a roller coaster. She was like, and you know, and I told her, I said, I commend you for even checking yourself in to a mental institution. I said, because we, and I can only speak for us, as Black people, have allowed people in society to say, oh, well, no, you're strong. We don't do that. We don't go to therapy, because if you go to therapy, no, I need some help. And for her to go get help, I say, that's one step closer to you getting healed. And she said, she talked to God, and she was like, listen, I'm on a roller coaster, and I'm about to check out of here. And that's where we have to get to when we meet people in leadership. You have to know the signs, because you can be having people right up under your nose and you don't know the pain that they may be feeling. And then when it's all said and done, people are like, oh, well, dang, I thought she was strong. I thought he had it together. That's because we look at this. We look at this outer shell instead of saying, you know what? Donna looked different today. Something's off. And all you got to do is say, hey, what's going on? Say, you don't look yourself. Like, is everything okay? And that allows people to know my leader does care.
Mm.
And when your leader cares, then it trickles down to everybody else. Everybody's plugging. And then
That's true.
everybody's healing. Yeah.
That's
She
true.
said, Sharon said, mental health is really
Mm.
is real. I see it every day at my job. Absolutely. And that's
Mm.
the thing. We have to look past what we look like. I can change this hairstyle anytime I want to. You see what I'm saying? I can. To mask what I'm really feeling.
You know, we have this mindset, and it's really not even, we're not really thinking from a genetic standpoint of who we are. We're people who thrive better with community nurturing. And so we've taken on, and it's no knock on the European people, it's just that we're taking on their cultural values, and it doesn't work for us. We're people that needs nurturing, but we need a community. And so now this, I can do this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
That don't work for us. We need that support.
Mm-hmm.
We need that nurturing. We need that, come on, it's going to be okay. And it's
Right.
and we need to understand that when we get, we plateau out, we get through we go through life. In order for you to go to the next level, you got to go through some type of experience, and it has to be one that it's going to be difficult. Because in order for you to be brought into this world, you have to come through fire. You got to come through the womb. And so that process is painful for the mother and the child. So birth don't stop when you get here. Now you're physically here, but you got to constantly grow. You got to spiritually grow. You got to be born again. As Jesus said, be born again. So every time you're born again, you're going to go through fire. You're going to go through difficulty, because it's going to show you who you are. It's going to show you where your strength and your weaknesses lie, and you address them, and then you come back a powerful person until you go to the next level.
I mean, when you go through the fire, that is painful. And and I've been going through the fire, and I know it's for another level. And and I thank God for my mom, because sometimes I'd be at work and I'm just crying, and and she said, I know it's hurting, but you got to just stay there. You got to stay there. She was like, you're almost there. But I'm like, this birthing, whatever he's birthing, it's hard, because I know it's going to be good when I get on the other side, but it's just going through the process. Like, come on now, just like ease up. But when the fire is turned up, and you're like, okay, and and I thank God, because if it wasn't for my mom, I probably would have been like, you know what, whatever. And then I'll have to start this test all over again. And so she is my constant reminder: stay in the fire. It's like,
yes,
cry, stay in the fire. She's like, but don't give up. She's like, you almost there. And that's what I keep reminding myself daily. I'm almost there.
And that's what some of our people don't really get. Like, it's a blessing you had that. A lot of our people don't have that.
Yeah, she tells me all the time, stay in the fire. And I'm like, okay, well, how long are he going to keep me in this fire? Because I am burning. But you know what? And I'm glad I can smile, because a month ago, and I'm still in the fire, but a month ago, I had more tears than smile. And I had to fake a smile, if you will, just to get through the day, and then that brings me to your book, Lioness, Awakening the Warrior Spirit Within. And my cousin, it's funny, because I was trying to find my shirt. I got a shirt. It's white and it's gold letters, and he has a clothing line, and the shirt said Lioness on it. It was in gold. And I was trying to find it. And I looked up what lioness means. I was like, it says a lioness she's a extremely independent, ambition-driven woman who is fierce, backs up her, they had SHIT on here, and takes care of her own, her friends, and her family. And I was like, yeah. When I saw it, I was like, yes. And so how did that title come about?
Oh, well, the title, originally the name of the book was called Whose Woman Are You? And so I couldn't connect with it. I write like a chapter, then throw it away. write another chapter, and it just wasn't coming, and I couldn't understand why. So I just said, you know what? I got so frustrated, I said, I'm not gonna write a book.
Right.
And then I ended up working in the prison system. And then that's when the answer came, because it actually came to me when I actually was dealing one-on-one with a sexual predator, a man that was incarcerated for rape crime. And so just the way he looked at me, just the words he was saying, just the whole demeanor caused me to respond a certain way. And I'm like, I'm God's woman. You're not gonna look at me that way. You don't own me. I had to make it be clear. And then after him, it was another inmate that was in jail for something else. Then it was another one. Then it was a staff member, and I had to tell all these men, I'm God's woman. You're not coming at me, and you're not gonna control me, because in a male maximum facility, the prize is the woman. They're all vying to control that woman. So being in that situation where I had these men trying to control me, whether it's mental manipulation or whether it's for sexual desire, it didn't matter what it was, I had to fight through that. And that's when I was able to answer the question, whose woman I am? I'm God's woman. Right. And then Lioness, Awaken a Warrior Spirit Within became the title. And that question was for me to answer before I can actually write the book. And so in working in that facility helped me to strengthen my spiritual connection with my Lord, because it was broken. Yeah. But with working in that facility and being locked accidentally in a cell with an inmate, or being accidentally, not even accidentally, but just being left on a wing by myself, by a male officer with 68 inmates. It was situations like that time after time, where a guy saying, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to rape your children. Just those situations, being faced with that every day, I had to come to a conclusion that, wait a minute, I'm God's woman, and now you all are going to address me accordingly. And that's where the title Lioness, Awakening a Warrior Spirit Within came from.
And so I read some of your reviews, and all of your reviews were so powerful. They really enjoyed your book. And so will there be a second book to this one?
I've been asked that. Some people say, when is part 2? Like, a person read the book and they say, when is part 2? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't know, because I'm really leaning to it Away with Old Thinking Patterns being a book. But I'm going to let the Lord tell me if he wants a part 2, then it's going to be a part 2.
Right,
but the whole point of the book was it's a chapter in the book, and excuse my French, but it's called Fuck a Fight. That's one of the chapters. And the reason why I named it that way, because I wanted to make a strong point that as women, it's two choices we're going to make. We're either going to fight for our divine femininity, or we're going to bow to this world and what this world determine what a woman should be, that of pleasure. And so we have to make that determination. And I chose in that prison system to not be of pleasure, not to be a plaything for the inmates nor the male staff. I chose to be a woman of God. I chose to stand to protect my divine femininity. And no matter where you at, what job you're in, or where you at in your life, you're going to have to make that decision. Absolutely. And so that's what this book was written for any woman that says, I'm tired of going along with what society say I should be, when I know I'm much more powerful than that. This society is limiting how great I am, and I got to break out of it.
Yes. And then it says there's 5 steps of awakening the lion within. It will require concentration and self-discipline. And so I looked up the definition, and it says for concentration, it says the action or power of focusing one's attention or mental efforts. And then for self-discipline, it says the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weakness.
Yes. The first step is you have to have knowledge of the devil. And all that is saying is I have to have knowledge of the weaker part of myself, the part that's weak, the part that I give in to things that are not good for me. And so if we don't conquer that part of ourselves, we can't be great. If I'm falling weak to the flesh, oh, I keep getting these relationships. If all these relationships are sexual, it don't really
Right.
amount to,
Right.
it doesn't really grow to anything great. Then that
Right.
means I'm
Right.
weak of the flesh and I need to conquer that in order for me to attain greatness. I got to deal with my weaknesses. And so
Mhm.
understanding that the devil starts here, in order to conquer, in order to meet God within myself, I got to conquer that devil within myself, that weaker part of myself. In order for me to be great and manifest my goal and meet my purpose, I got to deal with the dark side of myself.
Right. And so my question is, you know, a lot of times we don't want to deal with that dark side, because when we do, that means we got to dig deep. We might bring up some stuff that we don't want to bring up. And, you know, and I tell people, whenever you want to be free, and that's why I chose the word for you, freedom, because when you can be free in your own truth, your past, then you are not prison to anybody else's garbage. Because, you know, was I homeless? Yeah. And you can't hold me to that anymore, because that's my truth. I done told my truth, you know. And I say, when we can tell our truth, that means we can get on the operating table and let our Father operate on us. And when we're on that table and we allow him to operate within, then he can start cleaning out all that stuff you don't want people to know you went through, all that shame or whatever it is. But when we allow him to operate on us, and when we come off that table, we're going to be free. We're going to have the freedom to be free, and we can be honest, open, and transparent, and we can be like, well, if you're still stuck there, you stay, but I'm free.
That's where the teaching comes from.
I
mean, I could talk about the monster I became in the prison system, because I became a monster. Like, I became a monster. And so I don't have a problem sharing
right.
that experience. I don't mind sharing the bad decisions I make, because that's where your purpose lie in. How you gonna teach without having to make mistake after mistake, or a bad decision after bad decision? Everybody, if you look at social media, everybody want to be a guru, right? Everybody want to be looked at as this, I know everything, I got all the answers. How you got all the answers and you ain't went through nothing?
Right.
So how do I know you got the answer for me until you could share an experience that's like, man, why should I even listen to you? I remember my writing coach said, why should, when I first wrote the book, I wouldn't even talk about myself. He said, why should anybody listen to you? And I said, well, because I know what I'm talking about. He said, how? How does the reader know what you're talking about? How does the listener know what you're talking about if you don't share your experience?
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, he's right. So once you start sharing your experience, and you go review it in your mind, you're like, I could teach so much from this, because now I can share what I've learned from it.
Right.
And so that's how you become the guru. Let me tell you how I messed up.
And that's what, you know, my book, An Imperfect Marriage, Saved by Grace.
Okay.
My late husband, he had cancer for the third time. And so we was on our way for our last visit, and, you know, and I looked at him, I was like, you know, I'm just going to write a book about us, just about our life. And he was like, what are you going to name it? I was like, I don't know. I was like, but I'm going to do it. Literally, before we got to Chapel Hill, An Imperfect Marriage, Saved by Grace came to me. And I tell people, an imperfect marriage can be your friends, can be your family, can be your coworker. But this is talking about me. I was imperfect in a lot of areas of my life. You know, and my imperfection started all the way back to I was 3 years old. And that's where I remember all the way up. You know, you think you have it going on, and then when you get older and you look back and you be like, oh, well, this is not the life that I thought I was living, you know? And so, and I tell people, my book was not to shame anyone, but it's my truth, and I'm free with my truth, and I'm okay with my truth. Because I can walk in freedom. I can walk with my head held high. I don't have to be, if I'm talking to you, I got to make sure that I'm choosing my words right. I'm choosing what I'm going to talk to you about, because I don't want to get twisted up and tell you that I lived a life of drugs in California because I'm afraid of what you might think. Because I done painted this picture because I want you to look at me one way.
Mhm.
And that's how we have to stop allowing people to put us in these boxes. If you messed up, you messed up. Because when you live in a lie, you're not going to be able to be free when you have relationships.
That's true.
And I say, if you love me, you're going to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. And hey, what you see is what you get, because when you learn the real deal, are you still going to love me?
Mhm. Yes.
Because I'd rather tell you who I am and have you love the real me than to have you love the fake me
Yes.
when you're like, you're not who you say you were.
That's
Well,
true.
I was, but because the way you made me feel, I couldn't tell you the truth. So, and that's what I want for us as people, is to just live in our own truth. And the
Yes.
people that's going to love you, they're going to love you. And the people that walk away, hey, that's who God say, hey, they're no longer important. You don't need them anymore, because I need you to be true. Because when we are true, we're free to love him even the more. Because how can we say we love him, but we're living a fake life
That's
and not,
true.
and not being free?
The
Because
freedom.
if we're living a fake life, then pretty much our life is going to be fake with him too, because it's going to be fake with him too. Because how can you say, oh Lord, I love you, but you're living a fake life, and when you gave your life to him, he said you was a new creature.
Mm.
So what I did in the past, it don't matter to him anymore. And if it doesn't matter to him anymore, why do we still allow people to keep us in bondage?
You know, that's heavy what you were saying. The saddest part is we need to I think we don't even, a person could love us and we still not love ourselves. The biggest thing is us forgiving ourselves, loving
Yes.
ourselves, because if we don't love self and forgive self, none of our relationships will ever work. Because a
No.
person can love on us the way we want to be loved, or the way we think we should be loved, or the way we should be loved. But if we don't forgive ourselves or deal with what we're angry with ourselves about, release the anger, release the shame, the guilt, then we're not gonna be happy in a relationship anyway.
No, and doctor, I'm so happy. You know what? I'm not proud of what I've been through, but I thank God. And I knew he had his hands on me from birth, because I talked about in my book how my mom's mom, they were trying to get her to abort me.
Wow.
And I remember her telling me that it was like back then, they drank this stuff or whatever. And she said she drank it for the third time. And every time it hit her stomach, she threw up.
Wow.
And so for me, even when I was in my mess, I knew he had a purpose for me, because you wouldn't have been trying to take me out before I even arrived. And once I got here, I came feet first. So there again, he tried to take me out. But when we know our purpose, then you have to walk in it. And you have to be free when you walk in it.
Yes.
And we can't be totally free and say, oh Lord, I serve you. No. Everybody have a past. You may not have done what I done. Sin is sin. We both was out there, uncovered. But just think how he can still save us. And people gonna still love us, even in our hiccups. Even if I mess up today, I got people that still gonna love me.
That's true. That's true.
And before we close, can you just encourage us in general as a people? Just give us some tools or tips how we can change our old way of thinking to take baby steps, because we know sometimes it takes us, some people, longer than others, but just give us some tips on how we can just say, how can I change this stinking thinking, my old way of thinking? Because sometimes it don't work. Most of the time it doesn't work for us. But we
I say that to answer your question, the biggest thing is change comes with your diet. And if we want to transform, we got to change the way we eat. I tell people, if you got troubles of the heart, then you need to eat green vegetables, because green is the color of heart chakra. Wherever you got issues at, you can change. And a lot of our health issues comes from our thinking. Guilt, shame, is a core to a lot of our ailments.
Right.
Not just ailments of the body, but ailments of the mind. I tell people, if the first steps to changing or become a renewal is with the body, so change the way you eat. Another thing is just to learn to be by yourself. And a lot of people are so afraid to be by themselves. They can't be a friend to themselves. I would go out to eat by myself.
Girl,
I would
me
go to
too.
a movie by myself.
Yes.
Or I go shopping by myself. I don't call my girlfriends for everything I want to do. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna run over here. I don't call none of my girlfriends. I may call them later and say, girl, we got to go back, because but you got to learn how to be comfortable with who you are, because the change comes, or the guidance comes, when you exclude everyone else and you have that me time. And now it's you and your thoughts. So now it's a one-on-one conversation. Yeah. And it's so sad. And it's something I say to a lot of guys that are in prison for the first time, and they're like, I'm hearing voices. I tell them, no, you're hearing your conscience. You've never given yourself a chance to even listen to your conscience. You were distracted. So now that you have no distractions, you think you're hearing voices. No, that's your conscience telling you, look what you did to us. So I say that to the average person. Don't wait until you get in a situation like that to learn how to be by yourself. Learn to be by yourself. If that's a night at home where you say, this is my night alone, it's going to be me dating me, then do that. This is what I'm going to plan. I'm going to cook for myself, or I'm going to bring something home to eat. Then this is going to be the activities. I'm going to watch a TV show by myself. I'm going to do this by myself, with the intention of I'm trying to get to know me. Not with the intention I'm lonely, I ain't got nobody to hang with. No, that's the wrong energy. But with the intention that I want to know who I am. Right.
And and a lot of people don't want to do that, because they might find out some stuff they don't like about themselves.
Or they might find something they like about themselves, because everything they do is based on what other people like.
Other people think.
How are you gonna have a relationship with God if it ain't just you and him?
Right. You can't look, because you can't say, oh, well, come on over, doctor. Let's me and you, like, on your other way, change your way of thinking. Hey, I need you to pray for me. Why? But what if I can't get to you? What if I can't get to you? And I remember probably 4 years before he passed away, I told him, I said, well, I'm going out to eat. He was like, who are you going out with, your girlfriends? I was like, I was like, I'm just going out by myself. And he looked at me kind of funny, and I was like, yeah. And that was the first time I ever went out by myself. And it felt so good. And then this past weekend, because I was sick the whole week, and I had said, and I told my girlfriends, because since my late husband passed, I haven't had a moment to just like take a breath. Because when he passed, life just went on. You know, I didn't have time to say, oh, well, let me take 2 months off. It just went on, because I went from a 2-income house to a 1. So I had to keep pushing and moving. And so my girlfriend's like, you have to settle down sometimes. You have to like take a break. And so I planned a trip one day to the beach, and I got sick. And so, and I was trying to talk myself out of it, my mind. Trying to talk myself out of it. And so Friday came, and my mom called. She was like, so you going? I was like, yeah, I don't know. And so, and I said, I'm going. And so when I was driving to the beach, and I said, Lord, I was like, it's just me and you. I was like, I'm on my way. I was like, so you should be with me. And I'm telling you, I felt so good, so liberated, because I'm like, I felt like I got back to me. I found me again, because you take so many people you're pouring into, and they're pouring into you too, but you need to pour back into your own self.
True.
And that was so liberating. And I was like, thank you, Lord. I was like, well, and I've been saying, I was like, well, maybe where's my next trip? Because I was just good. And I was like, got me, Lord. So we're gonna go hang out. I went dancing, and my mom said, was you scared? I was like, at first I was like, And so when I went to hot tub and I got back and I was like, okay. I was like, are you gonna go dancing? Because I really love to dance. And I was like, I don't know, because my old way of thinking, like I'm usually at the beach with my homies, like no homegirls with me. And I said, okay, Lord. I said, me and you going. I was like, we're going. And I went dancing, and I'm telling you, I had so much fun. But it was also a lesson how Satan tried to come and he present all these guys to you. And I was like, I see you, Satan, and I'm like, I'm good, and one was like, I'm a prophet. I said, well, I got Jesus, and he looking at me like, she's really crazy. But for me, I'm like, Lord, I got this. You helped me, and I was good. And I came home refreshed. I just had a newfound freedom for me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Newfound freedom for me. And I'm just like, yes, you did it. You overcame your fears because, like you said, we're used to taking our homies. We're using, hey, you want to go here, you want to go there. But this time it was for me. And I needed that. And I thank God that he allowed me to just say, I got you. Trust me. And just go. And that's one thing I want, women to do. Trust themselves, enjoy themselves. And I'm just so oh God, I just love your spirit. I feel like we can talk for days.
Yes.
I just really thank you, thank your PR person, because I was like, okay, because with the Facebook, and I'm just truly thankful, and that's what this platform, when he gave it to me, is letting people know that we haven't all arrived yet. We still growing, we still learning. But people are tired of seeing fakeness. They need to see real people with real struggles, with real issues, and we're learning through all my other guests, when they come on here and they share things. Some of them share things that they never talked about before on this platform. And I tell them, it's not me, it's just what the Holy Spirit wants them to share, because a lot of people are broken.
Yes, they are.
People are broken. And if it's just one that connects, that's the one that was intended to hear your message, every different messages. But because we got to be real with people, because we're living in a day that life is not promised.
Yes, it's not.
We could be here today, gone today, and we just take life for granted as if, well, I got all the time. No, we don't.
That's true.
We don't. But I truly, truly thank you. I've been to Chicago. It's too cold.
But we don't have true winters like we used to. It might be a total of a month. We might get some really, really cold weather, but I don't know what's going on. We don't get the cold weather like we used to. Sometimes I don't even wear a glove and hat.
Wow.
Like, what is going on in Chicago?
And look, my son lives in, my oldest son lives in California, and I called the other day. I was like, what y'all got going on with some snow in California?
Yes.
I'm just like, we don't have time. We don't have time to be waiting.
No.
We don't have any time to be waiting. But
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
For just gracing us with your presence. I wish you much success. Continue to just be the amazing leader that I know that you are, because
Thank you.
people need to be led by people that's not afraid to say, oh, okay, well, let's try it this way.
That's true. Thank you.
When you can lead and say, I don't know it all, then that's when you have arrived.
Yes. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on.
Yes.
I also want to thank my PR person, Nicole Jordan.
Yes.
But thank you so much for allowing me to share your platform with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, maybe one day we'll meet. Who knows where we might end up.
Oh, definitely. I travel now, so there is a such thing called a plane. I'm telling you.
Yes. Thank you. And Nicole, if you're still watching, thank you so much. I'm going to be interviewing some more people. Nicole sent me to, so I'm excited about that. I'm just truly excited about this journey that I'm on, in my life. So thank you. Yeah.
All right.
And so all you have to do is just log off, and I'll
Okay.
be logging off too. All
All
right. Have a
right.
good
All
night.
right. You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Let's see. Hold on, guys. Okay. Guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I truly enjoyed my interview with Dr. Muhammad. Guys, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Like she said, enjoy just hanging out with you. Um, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's going to be one of my topics. What is self-love and why is it so important? We have to have self-love, because if we don't love ourselves, we definitely can't love anyone else, for sure. But guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be back on tomorrow with another guest. And the end of March, I will be rebirthing and rebranding my mentoring organization called SHAPE. And I will be putting up the flyer. It's going to be from 8 to 13. It is totally free. So parents, if you have grandchildren, neighbor girls, just you can inbox us and we will, get you connected. I'm truly excited about just being back, being able to mentor these young girls. I have some amazing stuff in store. I have my photographer, so we're going to be doing a lot of positive stuff with these young girls, building them up and setting them up so they can have a new way of thinking. As Dr. Muhammad said, we have to change our way of thinking, change our old way of thinking. So with that being said, if you all will like an autographed copy, all you have to do is inbox us at on Detailer Network, and the cost is $20, and we will get it shipped out to you. It will be an autographed copy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys, for tuning in for 2 years now. I'm still going to do my 2-year celebration, but I'm still waiting on who the Holy Spirit wants to do my interview takeover. I haven't decided yet, but it is coming. It is coming. So with that being said, I love you guys. Share, share, share. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Get your family, your friends to subscribe to our YouTube page. I posted the link up on today, all the social media networks that we are here on Hot Topic are on. But I want to encourage you, never be in competition with anyone but yourself, trying to be a better version of you than you were today, than you were yesterday. But take the time to say, I want to know who I am, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when we can do that, then we can totally be free. And the word that I chose today for my guest and for you and for me was freedom. And that's the word. And it came from, I'm going to give you the scripture. It came from Galatians 5:1. And it says, we have freedom now because Christ made us free. Stand strong. So go and be strong and be free. Be truly, truly free. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful night's sleep. Continue to take care of yourself. We're still in winter. I know it's getting kind of warm, but take care of yourself. And until tomorrow, if God's willing, we will be back here with another episode of Hot Topics with Donna, where we do an honest, open, and transparent. And we also interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their community. So if you know someone or yourself that would like to be on our platform, all you have to do is inbox us at Detailer Network, and one of our content managers will set up an appointment with me so we can have some open dialogue. That's all you have to do. But the only requirement is that you be honest, open, and transparent, because people want to see real people with real situations with real issues. So good night. I love you guys. Bye. Thank you, Derek, for coming on. Paul, thank you for coming on. I hope you guys tune back in tomorrow. Sharon, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys come back on tomorrow. We start at 6:30 every night that I'm on. So, hey, if you want to be a part of our show, all you got to do is hit us up. With that being said, good night. Bye.